So everyone that I know that are my friends in Orlando that are from here, one of the first things they'll tell you is, I'm Puerto Rican.
Right.
I can't wait to go back to my island, but they still have this mindset that there's not an opportunity. And so we're trying to debunk that and invite people back. And there is a massive amount of talent coming. So people are coming back for the first time in over a decade. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. And today we are with one of my good friends on the island here, actually, as we met maybe 6 or 8 months ago, and I've got to spend some time with Joy, and to say that I'm impressed with Joy is just like the biggest understatement. So we went and visited Corozal and saw a couple of Joy's projects that he's doing. He's killing it. I thought we really need to get this guy in and talk about everything that you're doing on the island and sort of hear your story. So Edgardo Joy, and I think is your company Joy?
It's my last name, so people call me Joy, but it's a pleasure to be here, Rob. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. And like he said, it's been a really interesting learning time for me as I get to know Rob and all the amazing things he do with his team. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, and so I know a little bit about your story, but let's tell the audience, you were in engineering, you then made a leap into becoming a real estate investor, and then now you're working really hard at becoming a top-notch operator, right? So you want to tell us about that sort of evolution and how you came to some of those decisions?
Yeah, definitely. So like Rob said, I used to be an engineer at Microsoft, and I found myself driving 4 hours to work every day, 2 hours to go to work, 2 hours to come back home. And I continued to do that for a couple of years. And at one time I said, look, listen, like my values, my dreams are not aligned with what I'm currently doing anymore. I enjoy the engineering part and the problem solving, but it wasn't there anymore for me. And I knew I had to make a shift. At that time I had a company, a startup. We were manufacturing shoes, sneakers.
I remember you telling me about that.
So we were manufacturing sneakers. And that company was doing around like 180, something like that. And so it was the time where I had the most earned income, but the less time, the less where I felt happy. You know, the values and the things that I was doing on my day-to-day were no longer aligned with what I saw myself in the future and what I wanted to achieve in terms of impact and that sort of thing. And so I decided to make the jump.
And so here on this channel, we cheerlead Puerto Rico. We talk about the massive amount of talent that's here. And the opportunities that are here. And I think you fit and demonstrate all of those categories, the massive talent, the fact that you're taking advantage of some of these opportunities. What about the fact that it's available to everyone? So that's a message that we like to put out there and let people know, because there's a misconception that it's really difficult to become a real estate investor, or that there aren't locals that they can partner with who are great operators. And so let's talk about that a little bit.
So to simplify it for my audience, what I like to say is that there's 3 types of investors. I call it the pilot, I call it the co-pilot, and I call it the first class. So the pilot, he's the guy, he's the investor, he's doing all the work, he's responsible for making sure that the plane takes off and arrives safely. He's 100% responsible for everything. There's the co-pilot. He wants to know how it works, he wants to be present, but he's not totally 100% responsible. He can maybe do 1 or 2 tasks, but the 100% responsibility of getting the people safe is not his, it's on the pilots. And then you have the type of investor, or the type of people that they're in first class, they're drinking champagne, they're having fun, they don't even care on what's going on with the pilot and the co-pilot. And that's something that I like to explain is there's different types of ways to invest in real estate. You can be an operator. You can be the one buying the deal, sourcing it, negotiating it, renting it, rehabbing it, stabilizing it, doing all the work. But you could also be maybe a co-pilot. Maybe you still want to learn, because there's some people that want to learn, they want to be involved, but they're not 100% responsible. So you partner with a pilot, you partner with an operator that can still teach you, you can still get to know, but you're not 100% in charge or responsible for it, because you don't want that, right? And then there's the first class, which is someone who has more capital than time. They don't really care about what's going on. They just care that it's a safe flight and they're getting there safely. And those are 3 ways for you to look at investing in real estate. And when you look at it from that way, then you're like, holy crap, that means that I don't need to do or learn or have all those contacts for me to get into real estate. I could partner up or I could figure things out. And that was something that was really game changer for me. And I had one of the biggest breakthrough there. Now I am a pilot, I am the operator. I kind of stumble upon being an operator. And now I am acknowledging it, and now I want to grow into a really good operator. But there's no reason why you need to be an operator to get involved in real estate. And so when you talk about it in that form, I think a lot of people get it. Right? In the States, a lot of people already got this message, but in Puerto Rico, it's something that needs to be taught because it's not a message that's custom for people to hear. And as we continue to do these sort of things where we communicate that message, it just creates a lot of impact.
Let's talk about your property in Corozal because man, is that impressive what you've done there.
Yes, it's been a really rough and interesting journey because as a new operator, there's a lot of things that I'm learning.
Yeah.
That's why, like, if you're a pilot, the best thing to do is, like, no pilot starts driving the plane. They start being next to a pilot and they're the co-pilot, right? And that's something that I'm looking myself is to be more of a co-pilot because I am a pilot right now, but I want to be next to a pilot that has the experience that knows, hey, there's going to be some turbulence there, Joy. You might want to, go down a couple of degrees. It's been really interesting for that strip mall to come to life because, hey, I made a lot of mistakes, right? I under budgeted, right? So which costs.
We talked about that.
We talked about that. So
it's never happened to us. Of course, it happens almost all the time. We're trying to get better at that, but yeah.
So and it's a big remodel for me. We put in a little bit more than $1 million into the rehab, but now it's the value of it is incredible. It's gonna hit the 3.1, 3.2 million, and we're all in the low twos, right? So there's just a whole bunch of equity there and a lot of value for it.
Cash flow.
And cash flow is amazing, right? So it's going to do 25K a month. Mm-hmm. Right now it's doing 15, but we're still adding more commercial spots because we have a great demand, and we build the demand by doing some great marketing. And then it's interesting because initially I thought, all my tenants, all the businesses are going to be local. Mm-hmm. Guess what? There's so much demand that mostly none of the business tenants are local.
Really?
They're all from outside of Corozal.
Uh-huh.
So they're from nearby towns. I have one guy that's from San Juan. I have another guy that's from Vega Alta, which is a nearby town. And so that was really surprising. That's where I started to learn, yes, there is demand here. There is a lot of opportunity. There's people with great, amazing businesses that they want to develop it and they're going to eventually grow it. But they don't have a platform. They don't have a piece of real estate to start their business that has great parking, that has great amenities, that's easy to find, that looks beautiful, right? That is not run down. And so when you start creating these things that are kind of default on other places, right? It's just logic way of thinking. Yep. But when you start providing these things, then you not only have the financial benefits, but you also have the social impact.
Tell us more about the type of clients that you have that are in the business and maybe the cash flow, and walk us through how you got each spot.
Yeah.
Just anything that would encourage people to do what you've done.
Well, first let's talk about the diversity. That's really important, right? So in order for me to mitigate the risk, I had to make sure that I had a really diverse crowd going there. So we have a gym, which is the only one in the town center. We have a quick loop, which is an amazing, just really easy to go in and out. It has their 2 decks. We have an aesthetic. We have a flower shop. We have Claro, which is a major player.
Anchor tenant or?
Anchor tenant.
A plus tenant.
A plus tenant, yeah.
Your anchor tenant's got to be the
gym, yeah. We also have a pet shop. We have a chiropractor. We have a beauty salon. We have a coffee shop. So this gives a lot of diversity to the place, right? And it also creates a lot of traffic. Right. You have people coming in for all different types of services, and they all kind of complement each other.
Right.
So that was strategic. From the beginning, I had a vision of I wanted to make it as diverse as possible, and I knew that there was a demand for that. If we were to make it nice enough so that it would attract, we could be strategic on the rent and go above market. And so we did that. And also, we included everything in the space. So they didn't have to come in and do tiles. They didn't have to come in and put an AC unit. They didn't have to come in and not even put the logo. We actually included the logo as part of the package, right? So all those things made it really appealing, even if they had to pay a slight higher than what they were used to. The amenities, the design of the place, and also how easy it is to go in and out because of the good size amount of parking allowed us to increase that value even more.
And I think the businesses will feed each other as well, right? So the people who go to the gym are going to get coffee. Well, everybody may get coffee, right? It's the only coffee shop in the
It's
town.
the only coffee shop in town, especially for this breakfast and lunch. That whole brunch, which is really popular here in Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
it's going to get packed.
And then you're going to do a really, really cool, what I think is a brilliant concept up on the roof. Let's talk about that, because the food truck parks in Puerto Rico, that's like our national pastime. Like, we want to have great food in a small place, in a nice, fun atmosphere. And now you're going to do it up top on a rooftop with amazing views.
Amazing views.
And I haven't seen that done anywhere else. So you want to talk a little bit about that? That's
Yeah,
really
so
cool.
that's another way of forcing appreciation. We have 7,000 square foot of open space and a rooftop that was initially designed to have access. So we have 2 main staircases that lead up to the roof. And once I got there for the first time, I saw what you saw, which is amazing views. You know, add value to the rooftop, and now not only is it just a thing you have to provide maintenance to, but now it generates income. And not only does it generate income, it actually is going to generate $6,500 a month.
So let's dive deeper into the numbers.
Yes.
Talk about exit strategies, whether it's a refi or maybe you're going to try and raise some capital to get out the initial investors, and what that will look like. And some of the stuff you talked about offline, let's talk about that, like bringing people in and learning how to raise the money for a stabilized asset and that kind of stuff.
So let's start with some of the actual numbers. So the property was purchased for $450,000.
Yep.
And this is a property that's almost 20,000 square foot. So it's fairly big. It's not that big, but it's a decent strip mall. And cool thing is I owner financed it, right? So I only had to come up with 50% deposit on that. So it was $200K. And I owner financed it for 5 years, interest only at 3%.
Wow.
So it was a great deal.
That was a great deal.
The reason why, which is a great point, the reason why we can get into numbers like this is because there's not a lot of operators approaching these people about it, right? So there's a lot of opportunity here. When Rob says, come on in, like, that's one of the reasons why. Look at this deal, right? So we're $450, right? $1,000. We did owner financing. We only had to put $200K down. And I started the rehab, right? So I had money. I had my personal cash in. I took a hard money loan on it. Got a couple of families and friends involved. And after everything, we're going to be all in 2.1 mil.
Okay.
Right? And the property is going to appraise 3.1 to 3.2.
Yep.
So we have a good amount of equity there, right? And it's going to be generating $25K a month
Of stabilized income,
stabilized,
which is really
five
cool.
year leases.
Yep.
And so everyone is on a 5-year lease. And so that's going to allow us to do one of two things. We can refi, get all the money out plus proceeds, right? Because 80% of that LTV is like 2.4 million. We're only in it for 2.1.
Yep.
So we have good money there.
Got a little bit of room to
pocket.
wiggle. Yep.
And or we can treat it as a stabilized property, which is already turnkey investment, and get other people involved, people from the island, people from outside, but just to start getting that culture back of, hey, these opportunities are now available in Puerto Rico, where in the past they weren't just available for everyone. It was just maybe 1 or 2 people who were connected and knew someone in the States, etc. But what you're doing is you're democratizing. Here in Puerto Rico, you're democratizing investing. And so you're allowing everyone to come in, and not only allowing, but also educating people to, like, hey, this is possible. I can come in and take an active role here, get a really awesome return on it. And on the risk side is really low. The property's already stable. You don't have to rehab it. You don't have to think of any of that.
It's already beautiful.
It's a beautiful
full of
property.
tenants. The cash flow's coming in. It's a marvelous situation. And I think if you did go the route of raising the money, typically in the States, if you invest in a REIT, for instance, that owns a strip mall, you might get 3 or 4% return on your money. You're probably going to pay a little bit higher return on your money here. You might pay 6 or 7%, right? And so super safe, stabilized income coming in, and someone could come in and invest with you at a very safe 6 or 7% return, And then there's probably upside from there because, like you said, you've got plenty of equity. So it's a great project for locals or, well, anybody who's watching the video that wants safe, secure, sure income. Reach out to Joy, talk to him about this stuff.
And it's a good way to get your feet wet, right? Like if you're in the States and you're thinking of investing in Puerto Rico, it's one thing to invest in a property that's going to be a big value add, that's going to start generating returns in a couple of months, 6, 9, 12 months. I understand how you might be, okay, well, should I not?
Right.
But for you to get your feet wet, you can start investing in a stable property that is going to teach you, right? It's going to, because as you join, you're going to learn. You're going to learn from the operator. You're going to learn from the reports. You're going to learn from the other investors. So it's a really great way to get your feet wet.
Yep.
And from there on, build your confidence and see how everything is running in Puerto Rico. And obviously, at that point, you're going to realize that the opportunities are amazing, and then go all in.
And they'll have more opportunities with you from this first investment.
Correct.
So I like to tell people, it's never about one deal. It's not ever that we want to just invite someone in to do one thing together. When we partner up with people, and I'm sure you're going to be the same way, we're going to do 2, 3, 4, 5. We're in business together for a long, long time, and lots of opportunities. So you get to learn how to bring those people together. They get to learn how to invest in something that's super stabilized and makes them a nice return on their money. It's a win-win for everybody.
And then the community wins. There's a component of social impact, because now they have a place to create their business and grow their business. So you, the investor, win because you get to play or invest in a safe asset. We get to continue to do what we love, and that community, the community leader now has a place, right, to grow their business, to invite people over, and so it's a great way. It's a great circle here.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think we covered it all, right? And that was awesome. And I look forward to doing more stuff with you. We'll do another video together. We've got a deal going together.
Yep.
You guys, appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like and comment. Smash the subscribe button for us. You know, let us know about this kind of content, these kind of guys. Joy, tell us where we can meet you and how we can
find me on
connect.
Instagram. It's Eduardo Joy. That's it. Eduardo Joy on Instagram. These guys will have everything.
And we'll put your logo. We'll put a link.
Yes. But I appreciate you guys. Hit that subscribe button. These guys are, taking in the responsibility of creating education for you and exposing the beauties of this island. And I'm really glad that you invited me here. So thank you so much.
That's awesome.
Rob.
Cool, brother.
Thank you.
That's great.